All right, everyone, we made it to the Friday market finale. So, as always, in this one, we take a step back, zoom out to the weekly charts, take a look at what's going on this week, try to figure out what could potentially happen going into next week. And as always, right, make sure you're going over to statsedgetrading.com. If you're interested in getting the picks, that what I do every weekend is I run these back tests, these systems that I've used for a very long time in my trading and have back tests going back to 1980. I run those. They say, here's a series of symbols to look at. Here's the entry price to look at. Here's where you'll exit, all that kind of stuff. And I send that over to the StatsEdge Pro members. So without further ado, let's just kind of pop right into it. We can get in here and let's just switch this over quickly to this right in here because we have to start with Bitcoin. We always have to start with Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin's been a little bit annoying. I made a joke on Trader TV that I think me talking about this cup and handle is the thing making it not happen. Could be the case, but let's go to the weekly chart and just kind of talk about what I'm looking at here, and that's this big cup that's been going on for a very long period of time, and then the handle here that's been taken forever. Now, we broke out last week, technically. If you want to draw these kind of perfectly, we can clean them up a little bit, but we broke out here last week. We closed above this cup and handle. We pulled back this week, however, rallied a little bit into the week. If we go into the daily chart on, is it Thursday? Wednesday, this thing looked really, really bad when it was down here, but reversed pretty nicely. Actually did the same thing. Let's just go in a little bit closer into a 15-minute chart. Did the same thing earlier in the day. It sold off and then just rocketed. And then we had another sell-off here with some weird tether rumor news, and looks like it's recovering from there. So I don't know, right? It's still fighting, but if we break here, I think this is going to look interesting for the crypto space. If we take a look at Ethereum, relatively weak. It's always been seemingly forever. And then Solana actually doing okay as well. So it's Bitcoin, Solana, and then Ethereum, and then all the other junky ones like that. So I'm focusing on Bitcoin. If I want to be long something, I want that something to be Bitcoin, maybe Solana, but mostly Bitcoin. Again, full disclosure, I have some. And that will actually take us, let's just go right into kind of the discretionary pick this week. And this is WULF. So TeraWulf is a Bitcoin miner that uses green energy, uses um, solar, nuclear, all that kind of stuff. And I think it's been getting a lift with those nuclear plays. You see this alert right here. So this is the alert that goes, I set these alerts on the weekend. And what they do is through some wizardry I don't understand, I can set the alert and it shoots it over to the StatsEdge Trading Discord. So as it's getting triggered, it's sending an alert to the Discord so you can see it on your phone. So definitely, if you're part of StatsEdge Pro, join the Discord, even if you're not really interested in us talking. You can mute those other channels and just use the alert because it alerts as it's happening. So I am in some of this. I am in some of this from 3 or 5:35. Nice little push up here. Struggling with this prior high right here. But if we go into the daily chart, this is what I'm looking at. 4 or 5 days of consolidation. I showed you how Bitcoin was pulling back a little bit. This Bitcoin miner has been holding strong. So if we get a reversal in Bitcoin, I really think this is going to be a place to look at on top of, if just trading the currency, if you want to trade the currency. But I always try to give one discretionary play, generally something from the algorithm right here, but some discretionary play to go take a look at there. Now let's take a look at gold. And we'll go to the weekly chart. A nice strong week again for gold. Little bit doji action, right? Bottoming tail, topping tail, but continues its march higher. No reason to get worried. No reason to start selling anything. This continues to move higher. Silver, XAG, USD. Silver, a little bit less interesting, right? Big push up and then reversing here. It's just not as clean as gold. So just like Bitcoin over Ethereum, so far it looks like gold over silver. The dollar just continues this rip higher. I may just be completely dead wrong about the fact that we're going to bounce here and then roll over and fade. This continues to push up. It's an absolutely strong monster off of these lows. I think a lot of people may have been like me, and we're looking to take the bet that this was going to break and crash, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like we're breaking all the way up. We could be getting into these prior areas right here. Who knows? I still think that if we fail before then and push down at the lows, and that time may actually be the failure, but just a beast. Like, look at this daily chart, up and up and up and up and up. So, really not too much to do with there. Take a look at the SPY. SPY was really interesting on the daily chart where we pulled back into this prior resistance. I made a video earlier in the week talking about this, where we came back into this low, and it looks like we may have been bouncing off of this low as well. So we just need to keep that in mind, right? This low, I think, is now the most important price that I want to look at on the SPY chart, just because it came right back down to the breakout place perfectly, and then it bounced from there. So if this ends up being a little bit of a bear flag and we start to fail lower, then that's going to be the area I'm going to look on a closing basis to see if we hold. Because if we break that, maybe it's time for a little bit of a worry. If we go to IWM, right, relatively weak still. If we go to the MDY, which are mid caps, relatively weak still. So still being carried by those big name, large tech type companies. Only sector that really stood out to me in my looking is solar here. So I've been talking about this for a long time, about how if we just draw this out here, kind of this area, which is this prior high right back here. And then you maybe could even extend it up, but that's pretty far up into these prior highs back here. This is an interesting area for solar. And last week we closed well below that. And this week we started rallying. So solar maybe a fake out here. It'd be a bit of a bottom pick, but the fact that we came under this zone and then gapped up today. And I love candles that are like this, where the low of the day is also the open. So it opens and immediately gets met with buyer. Maybe this is a short-term low on silver. So we need to take a look at, names like Enphase, EMPH, for solar, all of that. If they start FSLR, First Solar looks much better. Just a quick look. So if the solar ETF starts to rally, these might be ones to take a look at, because if they're going to hold, they might end up holding strong there. So that's the only real sector that stuck out, other than China, right? We're still watching China. FXI, KWEB, whatever you want to do to look at it, they had this massive run, and then we've come back down and we're getting very tight. It's consolidating very nicely into this tight range where, right, things are just really pinching here. And if this pinching continues, then the breakout, if it's to the upside, it might be interesting. It's something that I want to get involved in. I do have some China going on, but I may want to expand that if this starts to break higher. So that just means we had a breakout, we had a reasonable pullback, and then if we look to reverse higher, if you go to like the monthly chart, right? It was FXI was very bad. KWEB is probably a better example. Yeah, down a long way for a long time. If we're just doing a little bit of a pullback and we're going to reverse and push higher, we're going to get to 100 or something like that. That would be wild. That'd be 3x, 3x return on something like this. Not like I would hold for that or expect for that, but just a nice little pullback and a consolidation. So I'm looking for some continuation on KWEB. So that is it for this week. Again, come on over to statsedgetrading.com. Try out Stats Edge Pro. A lot of people are trying it. They're liking it. It's growing nicely. I'm very happy with the community we're building there. And if you're part of it, make sure you join the Discord. I will get to work probably tomorrow on putting all that together for you guys. And until I see you next time, get away from the screens.